Hello, Steve White's 89. Well, the whole Zack Snyderverse, is the Snyderverse, the extended, the DC EU Snyderverse, going to be reinstated? And this is quite a contentious issue because there's a lot of politics involved, much like Lucasfilm and Disney are fighting about Star Wars and what they're going to do between the films and the TV series, and they've got different camps with different views. Star Trek is the same. Paramount is different from Bad Robot, and what Bad Robot's done, and Secret Hideout, what they've done, Paramount's not really happy with, but Paramount still is under contract because those contracts are already existing. Even though they've merged, the contracts still stand. So that's messy. And there's other studios with the same problem. And we get this syndrome because once upon a time, basically, someone would create a property that would become a franchise. They would control it, or a studio company would create it and then bring someone in to manage it and do it creatively. Now we have this situation where people license it off the studios. Like the studios have sort of had their day with it. They don't know what to do with it. They're getting sort of merchandise from whatever old TV series or movie they've got. And some new production company comes in and says, we'll make this movie for you. We'll regenerate your, reinvigorate. I can't talk today. We'll reinvigorate your franchise and pay us to do it, and we'll take a cut or whatever. So we've got Bad Robot, Michael Bay's company with Transformers, all sort of doing this. So we've got this scenario, there's people who don't really know about the show, didn't originate it, don't sort of know the franchise, the IP, but they're licensing it and producing stuff and pumping stuff out that may not be good product, and it's a bit of a mess. And we've got the same problem with, that's why I went into that, we've got the same problem with Warner Brothers and AT&T, is it? It's some company that bought Warner Brothers. So now we've got the creative people who are at Warner Brothers who are at odds with the company that actually owns them. So the only reason why the Snyder Cut happened was that AT&T, or whatever the name is, wanted it. They said, well, this is going to make money, do it. So Warner Brothers had to do it. They had to give Zack Snyder the money to actually finish it and then release it. They seemed to sabotage it several ways. Apparently it was leaked a couple of days before, and people saying it wasn't an accident because the same thing happened with some of the previews and stuff. They were leaked beforehand, and it does seem to be a deliberate act to undermine the Snyderverse and the Snyder films and the Snyder cut, because they didn't want it. They wanted to keep what they released, and it's like saying that they're at fault, they've made a mistake, the fans are right, and they don't want to say that. There's a bit of an elitist attitude here, which Andre from Midnight Stage was pointing out, but I do agree. There does seem to be an elitist edge where it's like, well, this is how we're doing it, this is the right way to do it, and anything different is like a step back or a slap in the face or an admission that we didn't do it as well as we could the first time or the second time, because they started off with Zack Snyder's universe, with Man of Steel, which I didn't totally love, and Batman vs. Superman, which was mostly badly edited, and once they did an extended version, it was actually quite watchable. Then once Zack Snyder had to step back after his daughter committed suicide, had to step back from the production, they just latched on and said, let's just change it. So it wasn't just getting someone to take it over for him, they were totally changing it. So now what they're saying is, and I was taking 3 minutes to get to this, sorry, but you read the name of the video. Basically, Warner Brothers is saying there's no ECDE or whatever. DCEU. Too many names, too many abbreviations. But Warner Brothers is saying, no, not happening. But they were the ones who were against it the whole time. They said it didn't exist. For months, they're saying it doesn't exist. The fans are just crazy. They're toxic fans. They're making it up. They just, whatever. It existed. It's been finished. It wasn't in a finished, completed, state. But it was finished. It was released, and they were saying it didn't even exist in the first place. Now they're saying, oh, there's not going to be a sequel. There's not going to be any films in that universe. And here's another thing I found interesting, which does make sense. Patty Jenkins, who made the first 2 Wonder Woman films, whoever did Aquaman, are saying that the Snyderverse is canon to their films. So those are Snyderverse films. So how do they manage having two universes that are supposedly canon at the same time producing films? There's like the new Warner Brothers, the new films that they're doing, screen went off. And there's the ones that are already in production, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and they're doing the second Aquaman, they're doing the third Wonder Woman. And there's a Snyderverse film. So how do they manage that? How do fans deal with that? It's very strange. It's kind of like how Star Trek has the original canon universe, which is what I'm calling it now, because no one will damn well name it. We've got the Prime Universe, which is the universe they created for the JJ films, where they have the Kelvin timeline breaking off in that, where the films happen, and then Picard and Discovery happen in there. Now, I'm not sure where Lower Decks happens, because it seems to happen in the original canon universe. So they've got these two universes which are conflicting, and now Warner Brothers has the same thing, and Star Wars looks like it's developing the same thing, because the Mandalorian series and those series seem to be diverting on some level from the other films. Someone went into how they've contradicted the later films, and they seem to be wanting to do an alternative universe sort of version and rewrite them on the small screen. So it's just a big mess. There are too many chefs in the kitchen. There are too many companies dealing with our franchises, and they need to just sort out what they're doing, make the right choice, and stick to that. I mean, the fact that J.J. Abrams has been brought into Warner Brothers, and he's going to be doing Superman films. He did a treatment which is apparently really bad. I haven't read it. He was trying to do a film, a version of Superman way back when they did the Brandon Routh film, Superman 5, basically, Superman Returns. I really am not feeling optimistic, because basically they're just there for the money. He's just there for the money, for the contract. He'll come in, he'll destroy a franchise and move on to the next one. They just buy a franchise, they lease a franchise, license it, try and make money out of it, run it into the ground, ruin it by splitting the fan bases, where you create this new version of the franchise which is different from the old version. And a lot of the times it's licensing, because they only license like the title and the name and the right to sort of use certain elements, and the rest they don't use. So then they create their own, and then they can merchandise and license the elements that they create, like the Allspark versus the Matrix of leadership. The Discovery version of the Enterprise versus the original canon version of the Enterprise, which was featured, those Constitution class Constitution class ships were featured in Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. So they are canon. They're not just, we updated that and the ones in the original series don't count. No, they were used in later series. They are canon, but they are different from the ones that are used in Discovery, because it's Prime Universe. It's just a mess. And I never sort of envisioned this would happen to all my franchises, but it's basically happened. It's just this new model where these companies come in on behalf of a studio, or they sell to a studio the idea that, hey, give us your franchise for a while and we'll make a bunch of content with it. And we'll chase a different audience from the pre-existing fan base, alienate half of them, create a separate fan base, and then we can have this mess of who do we do our films for? Do we do it for the Disney crowd? Do we do it for the Lucasfilm crowd? Do we do it for the Bad Robot or the Paramount? It's just a mess now. And now Zack Snyder's universe is part of that. So now there's the hashtag release. The hashtag release the Snyder Cut was the one that got all started. Now there's the reinstate the DCEU or the Snyderverse. Is it reinstate the Snyderverse? I cut and pasted it. I put it in one of my things. I can't remember what it was, but this is what's happening now. This is what's being talked about now. Will they do a sequel? Will they extend? Will they keep going with the Snyderverse? Will they replace the universe they're already working on and creating? Or will they have two separate ones running and just go with the multiverse thing? That seems to be the only way to deal with this scenario, is just give up on unity and just say, multiverse, this one's universe is different from this one's universe. You can like this one, you can like that one, you can like both. We're going to produce both. But the problem is, you split the fan base, neither of them is going to do as well. It's like when Star Trek, way back in the day, they didn't split the universe, but they split the shows. They had Deep Space Nine, which was very much anti-Star Trek, and Next Gen, which was totally Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. And they continued that with Voyager, and they had Deep Space Nine running at the same time. And part of the audience for Star Trek split off to Deep Space Nine because they didn't like the original Star Trek. They didn't fully like the optimistic view. They wanted something darker, something that was more like reality, because they couldn't really comprehend the universe Gene created. They had to have it dumbed down and darkened and brought down to our level. So some of the fan base broke off for Deep Space Nine, and that's sort of that's that same sort of scenario. So you've got all the fan bases split now. They're all fighting against each other, and anything you produce is not going to get the whole group anymore. It's going to get one side or the other, or one element or the other. So they've just made it harder for themselves, and it's just a big, huge mess. But so far as we know, they're not doing a Snyderverse, but this is DC saying this, and DC never wanted to in the first place. Will AT&T say, yes, you will, because it's going to make money? But it is a bad sign on one level that this is happening right after it's been released, because it implies it hasn't done well enough to justify a sequel or an extended universe or a Snyderverse. But if they're against it, this is now when they're going to step up and speak up, because they want to try and change that narrative so it doesn't get a sequel because it has done well. They want to downplay it, act like it's not. The whole say it and it will come. It's a mess. But I'm going to stop talking because I could go on about this all day. It's just hard as a fan to see the franchises and shows that you love just split up and messed up in this way. And then you have the fan base fighting. You're fighting with people all the time, defending your original version of the show that you love, that other people are saying isn't as good as their new version, which they want to replace it. So it's just a mess. And I'm still talking. I'm not going to go to 12 minutes. I'm going to go. Thanks. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks.